Hey there, I am back with this week's Creative Pep Talk, and this time I want to suggest to you that you might want to, in whatever circumstance you are facing, leave room to be wrong. Now, this can mean a lot of things, but I'm just going to start by saying that this pep talk is inspired by the fact that I cannot tell you just how many times in my life I have been wildly wrong about something. Also mildly wrong, a little bit wrong, kind of wrong, lots wrong, wildly wrong. Okay? And I have a feeling that if you sit back and think about it, you will come to the same conclusion. The same is probably true for you. All of us are wrong about things all the time. The thing is, we don't leave room to be wrong. We get an idea in our heads and we decide, I want to do this thing and it's going to look like this and it's going to go this way and it's going to be awesome. What we don't do is allow for the possibility that our inspiration might be on target, but the way that we think it's going to go might be completely off track. The process tends to have a way of making us face that reality one way or another. It usually does not work to force things to go in the image of what we had in our heads, and that is as true of creative work as it is of, say, personal relationships. Right? We've all had circumstances and experiences where we've realized, yeah, that thing I had in my head, it was beautiful, but reality just isn't going to go that way. Now, I don't just mean leave room to end up deciding that your project is doomed. It could be that your project is doomed, but even if it is doomed, there could be a whole lot that you'll learn from it. What I really mean is to leave room for the idea that it could look different than what you had in mind and that that's okay. Part of what comes to mind for me with this is personal relationships that I've had where my first impression of somebody was so wrong in either direction. I was convinced that somebody was fantastic and wonderful and couldn't wait to get to know them better. And the more I got to know them, the more I thought, good grief, this is not what I had bargained for. This isn't what I had in mind. And eventually ended up having to walk away for whatever reason. Or the exact opposite, where I just was so sure, my gut feeling, my instant impression was that somebody was annoying or micromanaging or for whatever reason, somebody I did not want to deal with. One of my best friends is somebody who originally struck me that way, and I laugh about it now. It's also true of a job that I took when I started teaching ESL. I really thought that it was a downgrade from what I wanted. I really wanted to teach English. You know what? I ended up loving ESL, and I never wanted to teach English after that. I was incredibly wrong in that initial impression. So leave room for the idea that you might be wrong and that might not actually be the end of your journey with that project or relationship or whatever that it applies to. It could mean that ends up looking completely different than you thought in a great way. It could mean that this isn't what I wanted, but now I know what I do want. There's so much to learn if you leave room for the idea that what you think is the right thing might actually not be the right way for something to go for you. And there is a ton to be gained from it. When we get locked into blinders, we lose a lot. We lose a lot of potential. We lose a lot of time. We lose a lot of confidence in ourselves. There's a better way to do this. And the better way is to leave room for something to be wrong. Leave room for a project to be what it wants to be. Leave room for it to show you what that is. Leave room for your preconceived notion to be wildly inaccurate, or maybe just a little bit inaccurate. Let the things that you're working on and the things that are going on in your life show you what they are, more than you demanding that they be a certain thing. I think that you will be a whole lot happier for it, and I think that your creative work will be much better for it. Because a lot of times, I know it sounds crazy to say that a creative project has its own personality or will to be what it wants to be, but my experience is that it really kind of does. And you need to let it be what it wants to be. It's kind of like you can't force your kids to be anything in particular either. Your kids need to show you who they want to be and who they are. Creative work is no different. If you have trouble with this, if you want to play with it in a journal, ask yourself why you're having trouble with the idea that you might be wrong. Ask yourself what you might be wrong about. That could be really interesting. Play with the idea. See what other questions come up for you on paper. It's an idea worth exploring, and I hope you will. And I hope you'll tell me how it goes for you and what you discover, because I think this is a really, really rich area for discovery and for deepening what we can actually create as a result. So with that, good luck, play with the idea, keep in touch, and I will talk to you next time.